I get that. That happens sometimes, and that's one way to look at a game. That's not the way to look at last night's game. And this kid, he's a rookie. He's out, he threw his helmet at the late stages of the game. I don't know if you guys saw that when he fired it off into the bench, and then he's got Malaluga over there caressing him on the sideline, making him feel better. But, and here's the other thing. It's not like, and this isn't good either, because even if you have a great individual game, you shouldn't put yourself above your team. But if he had 155 yards rushing and his team, nobody else played, then at least you could go, man, nobody had my back. I was the only one playing out there. The Browns are the worst team ever. But, dude, you didn't even do your job. You didn't do your job, but yet and then to lose that bad and say that to me, Bruce in the chat room said it to me earlier. It's true. He says it all the time. When you win, say nothing. When you lose, say even less. And, hey, whatever, man. But when you lose that bad on the scoreboard, what does it say if the other team was worse than you thought they were? Because I'll tell you what, I'm betting quietly. There was a few Browns that went home and told their wife last night, man, Cincinnati's way worse than we thought they were. So, but the difference is they didn't say it to the media. So whatever. Lesson learned, man. Act like you've been there before, guys.
Exactly. Act like you've been there before is talking with your play. And on the flip side of that, to me, talking with your play for the Cleveland Browns is Buster Screen out dueling Sanu to close out a game and make a diving interception and take it away from him. To me, talking with your play is Taylor Gabriel, an undrafted rookie free agent out of Albion Christian, diving to make a third down reception. To me, talking with your play is a guy like Tyshawn Gibson, who leads the NFL in interceptions, should have had his seventh last night, and he's a former undrafted rookie free agent. And to me, talking with your play is Gary Barnidge going up and grabbing a ball inside the 10-yard line and just making a Jordan Cameron-type catch.
Yeah, he
so,
did.
I think that kind of sums it up for me when you say, well, what are my thoughts on this game? Well, my thoughts on this game is this is a team that mirrors the identity of the city they play for. There's not one player that does it. There's not one player that you're like, man, I got to go out and get his jersey right now. Like, it's a team, and everything you do, you talk with your play. So I love that game last night. I thought it was the most complete game that the Browns have played offensively, defensively, and we'll just leave out special teams because
we can't. I'm telling you,
I don't know how hard it is to catch.
We've given up the return game, brother. We've forfeited the return game. We're just like, hey, whatever. You know what though? Marlon Moore had that one nice return on the kickoff. He'd be the next one that I'd be given some opportunities to. I was telling my son last night, I said, listen, Jerry, just some advice for you in the future as a football, because he's playing high school football. I said, if there's any player on the Browns who's on the bench, who's a second or third string guy who knows that or thinks, hey, I can return kicks, go tell your coach, because this may be the opportunity you've been waiting for. Go knock on the door and say, hey, coach, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm pretty good at returning punts, because I guarantee you there's an opportunity there. By the way, a comment about Jeremy Hill. Arnie Walters says, as a Steelers fan, I can tell you that the Browns are no joke. Hill's going to regret that one. Browns split with the Steelers. I'm glad we did. Congrats, Cleveland. You beat Cincinnati so bad that they acted like this instead of giving some credit. Embarrassing reaction for Cincinnati. Of course it was, but hey, it is what it is, and we see him again. So, buck up. Although the key is that he won't see us again, because most likely, barring other injuries, when they come back, Bernard will be back in at the start, so Hill will probably have lesser opportunities to come back with the Browns later on, but they do play again, and now they get to come to Cleveland, and you know what? Before we all get too uppity, they can come to Cleveland and take care of business just like we went down there. So just remember, we have to see Cincinnati again. We have to see Baltimore again. But still, that's later. That's not today. And for today and for the next few days, I feel good. You feel good. I think the fans do. And the Browns should. They should be able to sit back hopefully this weekend may be the first time all year that they look back at what they've done, because Pettin has done a hell of a job of keeping them week to week and keeping them one game at a time and not getting ahead. And I think we saw the one time that it looked like they kind of did get ahead of themselves, they went and laid a big old egg against Jacksonville. And I think ever since then, the last 3 games, they've done a good job of, hey, we got this one and nothing else. And now this one here, same thing. Now you heal up a bit this weekend, and now you got Houston coming up. And then no matter what, this is when you were looking at best case scenarios. I know when you and I talked a month ago about week 10, or game 10 and getting Gordon back and adding to your offense, we were going, hey, man, best case, Browns are probably 6 wins, maybe 7, or worst case 5. Worst case now, they're 6-4. Best case 7-3 when they get Josh Gordon back. That's still a piece, but that's still a couple, 10 days away before we worry about 11 days away. Actually, 11 days from now, the Browns will be able to practice with Josh Gordon for the first time, because it will be that Monday morning, right after the 10th game, where he will be eligible to return to the practice field. But, man, that opens up the possibilities.
That's incredible, J-Rock. I mean, just think about, what you just said about Mike Pettin. What does that show about Mike Pettin, that he could be 7-3, 2 weeks from now, before having Josh Gordon back, without Jordan Cameron, without Josh Gordon, without Alex Mack, without some of the guys on the defensive line. And that just sums up what Mike Pettin has preached in this play like a Brown, next man up philosophy, and it's working. And
I don't care.
It's
you know what?
Cliche.
Go ahead. No. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's cliche, and we talk about it, but they're buying into it. I mean, they're buying into it. So
I agree, and you know what? This is the good way of doing the looking ahead to the future. I'm not talking about 6 weeks from now. I'm not talking about the playoffs this year. Regardless of where this season finishes, look at what this team is right now and the pieces they have, and they still got a lot of holes to fill. They have got 2 more first-round picks next year, 2 fourth-round. They've got they've got $30 million in salary cap room coming up. I mean, this is not like the peak of where they're going. This is the beginning. There's a lot of room for growth with this team. But right now, just enjoy it. I'm not even trying to look ahead 3 weeks from now, man. I mean, it took a lot of work to get here, especially when you realize Browns went into the bye week 1-2, started the season 1-2, and there was a lot of questions about how they would hit that stretch of the schedule coming out of the bye. And I think they answered those questions and then some. But amazing that they've done all of this with the specter of the quarterback thing over top of them, with all the issues and everything that we've brought up. That's why. More than just beating the Bengals, more than just being 6-3. A lot of teams can get to 6-3 after 9 games. But it's all those other things that make it go, man, there really may be something in the soup here this time that makes it cook up a little bit better than usual.
Yeah, something special's happening, right, J-Rock? We can say team of destiny almost. No, not yet.
I'm holding out on the S word, but something special is bubbling. I can tell you that. I mean, whether it brews, I don't know, because there's still some tough games to go. And I'm just going to say this because I have to. The key to all of this is keeping your quarterback upright as well, too. And knock on wood, they may have gotten through the worst of times with the offensive line, and maybe now. What do you think about that? You heard me talking about it earlier. Do you think that it was just Cincinnati? Because they've got a good front, so it can't just be that Cincinnati had a weaker front, because they do have a strong attack. We saw them targeting that offensive line. But do you think now, going 3-4 weeks into the switch, that the Browns line is starting to gel back together a bit? Because it looks like it to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, when you said that earlier in the show, I was like, you know what, that's right on. I mean, it takes time to gel, especially when you're the center, you're the main anchor of a offensive line. So I thought Nick McDonald played his best game yesterday. Watched the film on that, and I thought Bruce brought up a good point on the call earlier. The psychology of how the Browns looked at these last 4 games. And you could say this about a lot of NFL teams, playing down to your competition and playing up to your competition. I think
these guys do that. Yeah.
I think that's what happened yesterday. I think the Browns knew they weren't playing a 1-8 team, and they went in there playing, knowing what was on the line, knowing what was at stake, knowing that they were on national television, knowing the emotional feeling from the Devin Still's daughter, Leah. So I think they played up to their competition of what they expected the Cincinnati Bengals to be yesterday. And that's obviously not what they were. And Dalton played one of the worst games I've seen, since maybe Jeff Garcia's 0 quarterback rating in 2003. So, I mean, if you're a Browns fan today, I don't know how you can't be excited. There should be no negativity, and you should be able to go into the weekend happy.
Trust me, there's some, and they are. I'm just telling you.
I know.
It's amazing, but it's true.
They're not in my ear.
It's amazing, but it's true. All right, man. Well, as we said, and I was looking too. You had the Browns. They've already matched your win total for the season here. They're right at the limit of mine. I had them 6-8. Where are you looking? Well, you know what? We can get into that next week. We'll start looking ahead to Houston here, but obviously you're in a good place. And what was there anything last night that you were looking to see that perhaps you didn't? Or I mean, I can't really see last night's game having much of that because they were pretty effective in all the places. I guess for me, if I'm looking for bad things to come out of it, we already brushed on it. It's the special teams. Once again, it's the issues that you've got to shore up, because those are the things that you forget about in the middle part of a season, that if you do make a playoff run, they get you at the time when it means the most. You muff a punt in the most important situation or in a playoff game, and then you think back and go, damn, that's right. We never did fix that problem. We just ignored it for the rest of the season, and it came back to get. That always happens. Remember, I'll never forget talking about Jonathan Knight Sunday in the Pound. He preludes the fumble by mentioning the 1 or 2 times during that season where earlier in the season Ernest Biner's fumbles were a big deal, but then he worked on it and he didn't fumble for a while, and you forgot about it. And then it's those storylines play out that way, and I can see the punt return team being the one that bites the Browns at the end if they don't figure out how to fix it, whether it's finding somebody on this team that wants it or going and finding somebody, which is not the easiest thing to do 10 weeks into the season. There's not a bunch of guys, Josh Cribbs, sitting at home that may be able to do the job. And look, I don't know if Josh Cribbs is ready to play football, to be honest. I say Josh Cribbs because I like Josh Cribbs and he's popular in Cleveland. Josh Cribbs may not be in shape. There's clearly a reason that he's not playing for somebody in the NFL. So I'm not necessarily just yelling Josh Cribbs, but somebody that can catch and run and hold the ball all at the same time. That would be great, because that's probably the one thing out of last night's game that I'm least happy with, is that we once again had issues in the punt game. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, to single out the things that I saw, it happened early. The Jim Leonard fumbled punt that you just mentioned. And then on that drive, when Cincinnati took over, the Cincinnati Bengals went for it on 4th and 10 because how howling that wind was. Yep. So the Browns ended up getting a PI. Buster Screen got a pass interference and got an automatic first down. What's that? That tipped me off now that you mentioned that, because you had it. 4th down, stop. And then the flag comes and bails them out of it. Whether it was a flag or not, either way, I hate that on such a ticky-tack situation. Luckily, it didn't come back to bite the Browns there. I thought it might.
No, and it didn't. And this team is used to plays like that. I looked at my wife and I said, there's the momentum. And I said, this is a play that could come back to mean something by the end of the game. And fortunately for the Browns, it didn't, and the defense stood strong, and Nugent got his field goal. But those are the only things. I mean, you just have to. We have to shore up the punt return, and if it means just getting somebody back there to just call a fair catch at this point in the season, 9 games, I mean, then so be it. But I'm on board with you. And Josh Cribbs, other than doing his Kia commercials for $16 down, he tweeted out a couple weeks ago, "Hey Browns, I'm ready." So I could see someone like him coming in and shoring up that spot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet you ain't. I bet you. I'm just saying, you're not getting the LeBron's Kia 99,000 for $16. That's all I'm saying. But
No.